What's up? I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast,
where we interview successful businessmen and women to let you in on why success doesn't have a single formula to follow.
We also have a little bourbon tasting along the way, because why not?
Why not?
So guys, please enjoy this episode and let us know your thoughts at Bourbon and Business Podcast on Instagram.
Coming to you from the Bourbon and Business Studio here at the AC Hotel in Ridgeland, Mississippi. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Dakota.
And this is the Bourbon and Business Podcast. How you doing this morning, Dakota?
Great, Tyler. How are you?
I'm doing great. You want to tell our listeners about these great views we have at the AC? We have here at the AC Hotel. I messed up on that.
We have great views of the AC and at the AC, so you didn't mess up. The AC Hotel is the premier hotel here in Ridgeland, Mississippi, probably in the Jackson metro area, really. They have everything here. They have breakfast, lunch, dinner. They've got a full bar. They've got beautiful rooms. They've got beautiful event spaces. If you have a business event or just you want to come play mahjong, they do that too. They've got everything.
Yeah, and if you have family coming in for the holidays, best place to put them if you don't want them in the house with you.
Not put them in the house with you. Unless you like them. Then
Yeah.
you might want to put them there.
Yeah, just tell them, hey, you got one night, you can stay here, but you need to figure out the rest of them. So,
I love my animals.
well, you want to introduce our guest to us?
I do. Today we have a special guest, Staci Crawford, founder of Artful Placement. Staci, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Happy to
have you.
Yes.
And what are we sipping on, Dakota?
We're sipping on Stalk and Barrel. That's all I got. It's a rye whiskey from your favorite country,
United States.
Canada.
Well, basically.
Oh.
So
They do have a cool leaf.
yeah. So I like this. To be a rye. So our last episode we had the punch and it was a 30 proof load. This you actually taste the alcohol. So I do like this. For a rye, I really like it. So I'm going to give it a pretty high rating. So I'm going to give it a 9.1.
Wow.
Which is strong for me with it being a rye. What'd you pay for that bottle?
I don't remember. 50, 60 bucks.
50, 60 bucks. So for 50, 60 bucks, a great bottle of rye whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And
Are you sure you don't like rye? Every time we have a rye, you're like, actually, this is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I do prefer a bourbon, but this I like this.
Well, good.
So, but if you want to get a bottle of this, you need to go to Cheers Vineyard in Gluckstadt. Ask for JT. He's got the knowledge on pretty much everything there. He kind of directs our path on what we should get, and then sometimes what we shouldn't get, and we get it anyways. So, but go to Cheers Vineyard in Gluckstadt. Well, Staci, we appreciate you coming on this morning. We'd like to kind of start this, just tell our listeners where you're from and then how you got to the point of starting Artful Placement.
All right. It's a little bit of a journey. I am from a little town outside of Baton Rouge. Well, I guess it's not little anymore, but Denham Springs.
I have a friend from Denham Springs.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Mary Beth.
Oh, yes. So it's crazy how many people I've run into that's from.
I have some friends from Baton Rouge.
Yes.
Good
job.
Point that out.
Good job. Yes, I was born and raised there, and then I actually left the state and went to Southern Miss for my BS in nutrition and dietetics. Then I came back to Baton Rouge, and I worked at Pennington Biomedical Research Center. And fun factoid, I worked on the study, the DASH diet, which, do you know what that means? Dietary approaches to stop hypertension. So I was one of the research dietitians. Super cool. Yeah, super cool opportunity. You probably will know about it in your future. Doctors readily hand out the information. So
I probably should go see a doctor.
But yeah, so that's where I started. So I don't come from a traditional art background. I come from science and precision and research. So, and I'm very thankful for that because it's just part of my journey. So I did that for about 6 years. And then we moved to Mississippi, here in Ridgeland, actually. And a stay-at-home mom, loved it. Then when the girls were in school, I started painting. And within a month of just teaching myself a few things, I was in a store. And for 10 years, I actively painted and sold my work across the Southeast. And mostly like little boutique stores and stuff like that.
What kind of paintings?
Just acrylics, abstracts, birds, crosses, angels, just anything.
Nice.
Anything people wanted. So I did that. And then after about 10 years, I got pretty burned out. So, entered a new chapter in my life. And, a friend of mine told a gallery owner in town, Brown's Fine Art and Framing, Allison Brown Simmons, about me. Said I was a creative, that I potentially could help her hang art. So she contacted me and she said, come up to the gallery and rehang the gallery with me. So I spent a few days with her and she taught me all the math part of it, because I find mostly math, as far as getting the precision and the hanging correct. And so we spent some time together, and then she'd call me and go, hey, let's go hang someone's house that she has. And so I did that. And I'll never forget, she said, a lot of people want to be able to do this, but not many can for whatever reason. They don't have what it takes, but you do, and you should do this. And so she's just been such an encourager. I still hang with her now a lot. I still call her when I get stuck on a project and I need a mentor. And so she's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. I bring all my clients framing and stuff there, and matting, all the things. So it's just become a really good relationship. But I have found that it's not just like anybody can hang a piece of art. It's not that. It's the intention behind it. And I love telling the homeowner, the client's story. It's much deeper than just making it beautiful to the eye. It's about their story, their journey. And I'm a people person and I love people. And I get to, a lot of times a client will just stop and tell me about each piece, where they bought it, who they were with, what it means to them. Yep. And I always ask, I don't care how much the piece cost, what in this collection of things we're hanging today means the most to you. And that's where I want to shine. And so it is it's not like heart surgery or anything, but it does change people's lives. It changes how they live in their home, their comfort with their home. So, and I'm, as you can tell, completely obsessed with what I do.
Well, and it keeps people married too, because if you've ever hung up like 6 picture frames closely together with your spouse, it's a pretty tense situation.
I'm glad you said that, because I have been told I'm much better than a marriage counselor. I have kept many marriages thriving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you go into I can 100% see that. So when you go into a house, though, you're actually finding where the pictures should go on the wall, and then obviously hanging them. But it's more about, hey, how's this going to fit into this space? Mm-hmm. And I think that is, like you said, that is an art, because I think so many people struggle with, because my wife's asking me all the time, does that look good there? And I'm like, I'm probably the last person you should ask. But, it really is, where do you, if you got a picture, where do you put this on the wall? Yeah. And that it's going to look good. And
what wall does it go on? And
then some people are taller than others. Is there like a specific height we're supposed to hang this at? Or am I basing it off of my height? Mm-hmm. And so it's
what does high level mean?
It's a very complicated thing. So how did you? So
there's a lot of nuance to it. You got to like that.
I love y'all. Y'all are just. I might need assistance in the next few years. Like, y'all are killing it.
So when you go into a house, though, obviously, what are you looking for when you're deciding on, hey, this is where we're going to place these photos?
Well, yeah, I'm walking in cold. I have no idea how they live, where they live. Obviously an address, but I don't know how many pieces. I try to generally get an idea of how many pieces just so I know how to schedule my day. So I am really just walking in with fresh eyes. And that's a huge part of this. Is a lot of my clients have lived with their family pictures or their art for a long time. And it's stale, and they are just like, they don't think it's special anymore. And then I walk in and I see it from a point of view like, oh gosh, this is wonderful. This should be highlighted. This is special. And it, not necessarily who the artist is or anything like that. It's just a fresh eye. I've been told, and I've seen the difference that makes. But I generally just sort of get a feel for the space. I ask them to give me a quick tour. It does not matter the condition of the home. A lot of times they're moving in from a fire or a flood, and things are, a little messy or cluttered. I do not care about any of that. I can see past all the shape of their home. And get a quick tour, kind of get a feel of it, look at their collection. And then I just take a few minutes to kind of see who they are, how many kids do they have, what are the ages of their children, do they have pets, just their style. Are they maximalist? Are they minimalist? Are they
maximalist?
I have worked with some amazing maximalists, and I don't think I made this word up, but I might have. It's people that have a lot of things, but but it's not in a hoarder way.
Right.
It is in a beautifully collected, curated way. And I thought maybe I was more of a minimalist, and I think I am probably. I'm somewhere in the middle, like most people are. But a maximalist it's beautiful when it's well done.
You can really tell if you walk into a house of something that's been like intentionally put somewhere versus like, yeah, I think that looks good right there.
Absolutely. And maximalists do probably, unless it just comes not like inherent to them, they probably do need some help because it is a lot of stuff and it is, but you're exactly right.
Different patterns, different styles of things as well.
And then ceiling height, natural light, just all the things you would think maybe an interior designer would be looking for. And then I do ask them which pieces mean the most to them. And then I just sort of start my thing, and I'll just start putting art where I think it should go, just on the ground next to the spot I'm going to hang it. And then usually after the first couple pieces go up, but then I really know what I know the feel I want this house to have when I leave. And then my clients can go one of two ways. They can say, go for it, we're leaving, which I really do like them to be hands-on with me because this is where they live. And, just like with bourbon, there's guidelines, right? But in the magic of that is when knowing how to break the rules, when to break the rules. And so my clients often kind of show me who they are in a little bit of time I spend with them. But yeah, some of them leave, which is great. I mean, that's fine too. And I just do what I want to do. That's awesome. Then I have others that want to come along with and be a part of every decision. And some of them are very serious art collectors. And then some of them just have a gallery wall with their family pictures. And it's important to them that, and I'm all about telling a story.
Gotcha.
And so anyway, I may be rambling.
No, you're good.
So what was it like to go, obviously you were science background.
Yes.
And so you're in this field of science, and then you're go into this field of art. What was that transition?
Logic to creativity.
Right. I do have a mix of left and right brain, which I thank God for every day. But I was always a creative. As a young girl, I just probably didn't have any confidence, but I would cross stitch, and then I would make jewelry, and I would do little things here and there as I grew up.
Did you feel like you weren't creative?
Yes.
Why?
I'm not sure. That's a very good question.
I'm curious to that as well, just because I think a lot of people are creative and they were told they weren't. And so they feel like they are.
Well, they're told, oh, well, you're better at chemistry than drawing.
Right.
Or something.
And drawing
I
is
probably
always
was told that at some point, because I probably was better at chemistry than drawing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But yeah, that's a very good question to think about.
Because Tyler's always been told he's not creative, but he is very creative.
No, I think
he came up with this podcast. He's come up with all kinds of stuff.
Well, yeah, I guess if you put it that way. So, but like you said, traditionally, if you're looking at a lot of times,
you can't draw.
No, I can't even write.
Yeah.
But
read.
if I can read, but if you look at, traditionally people say, creative, you can draw, you can paint,
you can color,
do things like that.
Yeah.
Versus, there's a lot more to creativity than just being able to draw and paint.
You're so right.
And I think it really comes down to how your brain works. And I think even into business, a creative person in business is a person that can solve problems, can come up with answers to things, to say, like, the traditional person, most people are going to say, we do it this way because it's always been done that way. Well, there's nothing that drives me crazier is that we have to do it this way, or that, it's impossible. We can't do that. And I think that a creative person, maybe you don't look at them as creative because they're in business, but they say, okay, well, why can't we do it? Or why can't we do it?
Just a little bit more abstract.
And I think that's where the magic is in anything, is being able to look at something and say, okay, we can find a way to do this. It may have not ever been thought of before, but let's try to do it.
Yes.
And exactly. I think that, even like you said, coming into a house, if I looked at a house and knew I had to hang pictures, I'd say, we ain't never get this done. Or if we do,
But you can do a podcast, which is obviously out of my comfort zone.
But, I'm going to, throw the pictures on the wall somewhere. But, well, great. Well, what did, when you made the transition and you get to the point of starting your business, well, what is that like for you day to day being a business owner?
Yeah, well, I love it. I love the control and the flexibility. I love the hustle and the fight, because as you've probably heard people say, no one's coming to save you. And
Learn how to swim.
yes, and it's up to me to make it, and not just, that's just that part of it. But the other part is I get to help people in a way that, I get to support myself and help people at the same time, which I really love that aspect of it. And I get that one-on-one with there's all kinds of people I would have never met if it hadn't been for this.
Right.
So that's part of, I guess, the main reasons why I like owning my own business.
And as far as growing your client list, did that come from the networking, like going and meeting people in the art space and then them finding out what you do? Or has it come more from client referrals? So you go into a house and they're like, oh, she did a fantastic job and pass your name off to them.
It's almost solely client referral, which I love. Yeah. It means a lot to me that they've trusted me with their stuff to make it beautiful and hang it in the right spaces. And then they go and tell their friends about it. That's just awesome.
Yeah. And I think, growing a business, if you can do it off client referrals, there's no better way to do that, because you're going in, the people trust you because they've heard from their friends or they've saw
piggybacking off someone else's trust.
They'll tell me, go look at her Instagram, because I tell all my clients, go look at my Instagram, make sure that, I can do what you want me to do. And so that sort of gets the ball rolling sometimes.
Well, tell our listeners a little bit about, because we get, questions like this, maybe someone, is in a space and they have a moment where a customer's not happy. Mm-hmm. How do you handle that?
As far as like how I've hung it or whatever, I'll just redo it. I'll do it till they're happy. I'll figure out why, like what the problem is. Sometimes the art just needs a new frame, or it just needs to be freshened up. And that's sometimes, like I walked into a house and she had this beautiful Edelstein and it wasn't framed yet. And she's like, I just don't like it. And I said, well, it's a beautiful painting. And she's like, I can't make it work in my space. And I said, why don't we frame it? And so took care of that, brought it back. I found a new spot for it. And she just was obsessed with it. And it's something she's had for a very long time. So it's those little things like that. But as far as if they weren't happy with my work, I just think customer service is core to everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would just get down to the bottom of what the problem was, and then I would just do everything I could to make it right.
That's so important. I mean, you're not going to make everybody happy. Like,
no,
it's not possible.
No.
Somebody is going to disagree with your opinion or the way you think about things, or tell you, yeah, I want you to do it. And then you do it and they go, okay, I didn't want that. And it's like, okay, well, you didn't want me to do it.
Right. Well, I always tell them, like, this is where you live. So ultimately, whatever the rules are, I don't care about those. It's more about you're living here and I want you to be happy. And if you want that there, I'm going to hang it there. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where, a lot of times I think you see the disconnect, because when you are, an expert in your field and what you're doing, and then the customer's like, well, I want it right here. And then you think in your mind, that looks terrible.
But they live there.
But they live there. But a lot of times you see the clash there. And the expert's like, nah, like that looks terrible. We're not putting it there. And then that leaves in the customer a bad taste in their mouth, because they're like, I paid this person to come do this. And they just did whatever they wanted.
I will always suggest and give my opinion, and then explain why.
Right.
And then sometimes when I can tell they really aren't sure, I'll just say, how about we hang it, leave it a few days, and then come back and revisit if you decide you don't like it. Because, I do some things that are maybe unconventional, and they'll let me. And almost always we love it. We're going to keep it there. But it was just freshening up their space can be hard. When you've moved furniture around, then you have to get used to it. It's the same way with art and family pictures. Do
you hang like super heavy stuff at all?
I do.
How do you hang something super heavy?
I usually call in an assistant. But yeah, that's usually anchors, and I get out my drill and figure it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just in
Yeah.
there.
If you've ever bought a house and you can tell someone didn't know what they were doing when they hung a picture, you see like eight
8 holes.
holes in the behind the picture where they were, trying to
Well,
find
even
stuff.
I make mistakes, and sometimes you'll find a couple back there. I mean, no one's perfect, but yeah.
I love it. It makes me feel so much better about
And that goes back to, the contractors a lot of times not using the science. These studs are supposed to be spaced a certain amount.
That's true.
And
That's
I'm
true.
sometimes wondering what their tape measure was showing.
I rarely run into a stud.
So, which, and going back to that, a lot of people look at that as a, science, but it is an art form, especially older houses. If you
Plaster walls.
if you go into a house, today it's pretty kind of cookie cutter how they do it. But if you go into an older home, like you said, with plaster walls and things like that, then it gets a little more complicated.
It does.
Do you? So speaking of on the
brick
plaster,
in place or something.
Yes, I just hung a couple of things in brick this week. Always makes me a little, but I know what I'm doing, but it's still so intimidating.
Yeah, it's not like drywall where you can just patch that up, paint it.
And I don't do it as
That's
often,
brick.
obviously.
so when you run, are you working a lot of times in older homes? Or are you more in
It's definitely a
a
mix.
mix of the two?
I do love the older homes, but yes, I deal with plaster walls, and I never know what's going to happen, but it's generally fine. My nails that I use are fine for plaster, so I haven't had any issues. But I do love the older homes because there's just so much character and so much life that's already been lived in them. But then that's where the challenge of a new home is I get to make it warm and it inviting and it full of character by using their stuff. And that's awesome when I leave and I know it's special. Now it's not a cookie cutter, it's theirs, and now they can tell the story.
Part of something bigger.
Yes, I love that.
That's super.
Well, Dakota, I think it's a good time for a bourbon break.
Yeah,
Give us
man.
your thoughts on the whiskey.
What was this called? Stalk and Barrel rye whiskey, product of Canada. It is a 120.4 proof, and it is hot. It is very hot. Good flavor though. I felt the flavor. The burn didn't take away from that, which was nice, really smooth, and then bang, it just kind of hits you out of nowhere, which is weird. It's got a rye aftertaste, which is okay with me. I prefer not as much rye aftertaste, but it is a rye whiskey, so I can't be too picky there. I'm going to land at 8.2. Yeah, you and I are just off.
Well, Staci, tell our listeners a little bit about, maybe give them some pointers. Say they are, obviously using you would be the preferred method here, but just say maybe they do have a couple pictures they need to hang in their house. Yeah. When they're looking at a space, how do they determine where to place something? Right.
That's a great question, John.
It is. Because obviously if it's a couple of pictures, people hang their own art all the time. I think it's really important that it's appreciated at eye level. And I know.
What is eye level?
Exactly.
Because Tyler's short.
Right. Eye level is typically, I think it must be the average of really tall people and then other shorter people. So I usually typically hang where the art is 61 inches in the center.
61 inches.
Yeah, so it's about my eye level actually without heels on.
Oh, that's so precise.
Yeah.
I was expecting just somewhere in between, but 61 inches.
But if it's a very short ceiling, I'll go to 60. And then if it's 12 foot or 15 foot ceilings or something, I'll maybe go to 62. And then sometimes I'll look at my clients and see how tall they are. And if I'm dealing with a 6'4" husband and a 6 foot wife, I'm going to hang it at probably 62, being the center.
Yeah. Well, and that is, a unique thing. And I've noticed this because my wife, she's like 5 foot, 5'1", and all her family are shorter as well. So whenever I go to her parents' house, literally everything, like even the mirrors in the bathroom are like, I'm looking at the wall above the mirror. And so that does, though, when you bring people to your house, if everybody's not that height, then you do have like the effect. You come in and you can't even see the pictures.
I've literally never thought of that. And I guess that's me.
Yeah. And so, it does make a difference though when you walk into a home, take into account, hey, everybody in here is not going to be the same height as me. So what is a common height that we can place there and that everybody can enjoy the pictures? Because it does affect the room.
Does the room matter as much in the placement as far as obviously in the kitchen or in the living room? There's different, those are different settings for different events, different spaces. Like on a Christmas morning, more people might be in the living room at one point and then in the kitchen at another. But if you're having like an engagement party or something for somebody or a couple, and everybody comes over, everybody's going to be hanging out in the kitchen where all the food is and stuff. You know what I mean? So like, how does that play into it as well? Or does
it? It depends on wall space. Sometimes the newer homes don't have as much wall space as the older homes. So that obviously plays into it. I don't know. That's a good question. Usually do you mean like what's in the painting itself, or like,
everything?
So for example, family pictures, I tend to down hallways or up stairwells, somewhere more private maybe. Then in kitchens, if there is wall space, anything that you would think of kitchens,
Gotcha.
Fruit, you just kind of get a feeling that this belongs there. And I don't know if there's any rules to that. It's just an intuitive thing
that
for
feels
me.
like
I'm sure there are rules.
Yeah.
I just do what I feel.
Well, that's
naturally.
the art behind the
right.
craft. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't, that's a hard thing to quantify maybe. Is that the right word?
Yep.
You just kind of know it when you see it.
Gotcha.
Let's shift a little bit because we've been talking about the home. Let's talk about commercial spaces.
Yes.
So how important is it for a business, when you walk in, that you do have whatever feeling that you're trying to create there, you have that feeling? How important is that to the business with customers coming in, and then how do you go about doing that?
It's very important. It's part of their branding. It shows their client. Well, let's just use a law office. I hang for a lot of law offices and accountants and stuff like that. I always ask them, what do your clients see? Because that's where we want to put the emphasis of the really good art hung properly, because it just shows them, hey, these people know what they're doing. And I know it sounds crazy, but they're not going, well, this piece of art tells me they know what they're doing. It's not
a subconscious thing.
It's a subconscious thing of these people have their stuff together. It's so together. They have beautiful art correctly placed in their business. And so the client may not leave thinking of the art, but they left the space knowing how it made them feel. And that's very important for business owners. And then in each office, like let's say there's a conference room, I'll make sure that either they are about to collect the correct pieces and talk about, maybe what size and what would look really good, or I'll hang what they have and make it look very, very professional. But then in each one of their offices, I always ask, is this where the customer or client sits? Is this, because I want to know what they're going to see when they're sitting across from the business owner, the lawyer, accountant, whatever, doctor. And then that's
Doctors
how
need some help.
Yeah.
Those places are not warm and inviting.
No, but therapists are really fun.
They
I
are.
just hung a therapist office last week, and she was so fun, and her stuff was so
much more
crazy.
creative.
It was awesome. But I took very much into account what her patient was going to see. So I put all the brightly colored stuff behind the patient. So he or she would not be distracted and just be able to look at just the therapist.
Well, and I think it makes sense, when someone comes into a room subconsciously, whatever feeling they're having is going to affect whatever conversation is happening there. And, if, you come into an office and everything's out of place and cluttered, maybe if you're used to that, you may feel at home. But, like for me, and I think a lot of people, you're going to have anxiety. You're like, something's not right. You may not even pick up on it, that it was actually didn't have anything to do with what the person was telling you. It had to do with just there were some things out of place in the room. But you come away from that conversation that something wasn't right. And then therefore you may lose that client just based off of how you had the office set up. And I think it's a very important thing, for your business, that you do have someone come in and look at, hey, is everything set out? And am I, all the marketing I'm doing when I finally get someone in the door, am I giving them the vibe that I want to give them?
Yeah, I've dealt with doctors and lawyers and accountants and very successful people that have let their diplomas, multiple diplomas, just sit in the corner for years. And I always say, okay, you're smart, but I'm about to make you look smarter. So I'll hang all of it. And I know as someone that would come into that office and they're like, well, that one's no big deal. You worked 4 years on that no big deal diploma. Let's hang it. I don't know what's, as someone's walking in your office. So it's all about making them look even more professional than they already are. And it makes them feel good about their space. And then they decide, oh, I think I'm going to ask for a piece of art for Christmas and hang it here. And they kind of get into it. So it's fun to watch them kind of come alive in their own business, So
Yeah, and then what are your thoughts on, you walk in some offices, really it's mainly sales that you would say it, but, obviously a lot of times companies give out awards and things like that. And sometimes you walk in and it's like
President's Club,
yeah,
15
you got
times.
9,000 awards on the wall, all around the wall. There's really nowhere to put anything. What are your thoughts on
I'm
that?
hiring them. Do you mean cluttered?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think
they're sitting up there like this.
Yes, I've run across that once or twice. I think it's just a matter of taking it all down and then with a fresh eye again.
Tyler's asking for himself.
Yeah.
He's got a bunch of awards. He's just trying to figure out how to
Most of them are in drawers.
Yeah, they shouldn't be. You should hire them.
Come up, man.
Hand them to me. I'll get them framed and then I'll bring them to you.
Well, I need to talk to somebody.
But
it is overwhelming to think about, in your space, what you should put up there and then, how it should look, because especially when you have a lot of things put on the wall, it's like, hey, I don't want to overcrowd it and make it feel like it's,
I love the challenge.
That's a great point too, because, I see a lot of people, there's this big push now for people to put out video content, right? On like what they do, even for lawyers, financial professionals, insurance agents, all that kind of stuff. And they're always filming like a podcast or something in their house, in their office, and they've got all this stuff behind them. And it's like, if you've ever seen Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast, he's got so much stuff behind him. You could just look at stuff the whole time and not even focus on what he's saying. So is it too cluttered? Is it a great way to portray who you are, what you want people to see and know and like about you? Because some people have like Pokemon stuff back there because they're super into that and they want their clients to know like, hey, this is just a part of me, right? Mm-hmm. Other people have a football signed by somebody famous or a basketball or whatever the case may be, some piece of sports memorabilia. How important is that?
Yeah, I do deal with, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I do deal a lot with Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
People saying, okay, this is, and so I'm like, turn your camera on, let me see what we see.
Yeah.
And I typically just keep it very refined and classic for the clients I've had so far. I mean, there might be someone where I have to do something fun. It just really depends on what is their business,
right.
What do they do, what are they trying to...
What's the look you want to come
Yes,
across?
but how do you want to appear to whoever this is on the other side of the screen? And it's very, very important and not to be taken lightly.
Yeah.
Because as we all know, first impressions are so important. How 100%. how you present yourself, and how you present the room you're zooming from is just as important. But yeah, I think it's totally okay if it's well done to have stuff that maybe is personal to you or awards, definitely your diplomas. But generally, most people just want it to be aesthetically pleasing. Yes. I have a hard time saying that word. That's really their goal. And so for me, it's usually just a beautiful piece of art. And we make sure it looks just right from the view of the camera. So
Great. Well, Staci, we appreciate you coming on today. We want to get your thoughts on the bourbon or the whiskey.
Honest opinion. You're not going to hurt our feelings.
I don't know how long ago it was I took that sip, but it's still...
If that tells you.
It's still got a little burn back here. I'm sure there's someone who enjoys it in the world.
We'll take it.
It's a little strong.
Well, we will land at a... let's go with an 8.6.
That's like a 1, so you got to bring it.
No. I'm just not. It's just not.
We'll go with 8.6 on this. So if you want a bottle of it, go pick it up at Cheers Vineyard. And tell our listeners, how can they get in touch with you, find you on social media? I have a website, artfulplacement.com. I also have Instagram and Facebook, Artful Placement, and they can find me there. Perfect. Well, however you stream this podcast, if you would give us a rating and follow us on social media, and we will see you next week. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
If you have any feedback or would like to be featured, reach out to us at bourbonandbusinesspodcast@gmail.com.
Or find us on Instagram at Bourbon and Business Podcast.
Thanks again for listening.
Follow us for more content and info on the next episode.